The year was 1943. World War II raged across the globe, engulfing nations in a conflict that seemed to have no end. The skies, seas, and lands were battlegrounds where countless lives were lost and heroes were made. In the remote and treacherous skies above Alaska, a young co-pilot named Leon Crane was on what was supposed to be a routine test flight. The B-24 Liberator bomber, a symbol of American air power, soared through the cold, crisp air. Leon, with his intense focus and determination, never expected this flight to turn into a desperate fight for his life. The cockpit, usually a place of control and command, became a scene of chaos and fear. High above the snow-covered peaks, disaster struck without warning. The serene beauty of the Alaskan wilderness below was in stark contrast to the turmoil inside the aircraft. The B-24 bomber shuddered violently, as if it were a living creature in its death throes. The controls, once responsive and precise, now seemed to have a mind of their own. The engines, the heart of the aircraft, sputtered and died. The once powerful propellers came to a halt, leaving the plane a helpless giant in the sky. Leon had only moments to react. His training kicked in and he made quick, life-saving decisions. The weight of the situation bore down on him, but he remained resolute. He knew he had to bail out. The decision was clear, but the execution was fraught with danger. Every second counted as he reached for his parachute. With a rush of adrenaline, Leon leaped from the crippled aircraft. The wind roared in his ears as he plummeted towards the earth, his fate hanging by a thread. The icy air whipped at his face as his parachute deployed, slowing his descent. The cold was biting, a harsh reminder of the environment he was about to face. Below him, the vast Alaskan wilderness stretched out like an unforgiving white canvas. The landscape was both beautiful and deadly, a stark expanse of snow and ice. He braced himself for impact. The landing was rough, the snow cushioning his fall but also concealing hidden dangers. He tumbled into the snow, disoriented but alive. Disoriented and alone, Leon found himself surrounded by a sea of white. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of his own breathing. The harsh reality of his situation began to sink in. He was stranded, miles from civilization, with no immediate hope of rescue. He was injured, his body aching from the rough landing. The cold was relentless, seeping into his bones. He was ill-prepared for the unforgiving environment that now imprisoned him. The vast, snowy wilderness was both his enemy and his only hope for survival. Leon knew that he had to muster every ounce of strength and willpower to endure the challenges ahead. The fight for survival had only just begun. Panic threatened to consume Leon as he struggled to his feet. The snow was deep, and every movement felt like a battle against nature itself. He had to keep moving, had to find a way to survive. The Alaskan wilderness was unforgiving, and he knew that standing still would mean certain death. The bone-chilling cold bit at any exposed skin. Each gust of wind felt like 1,000 needles piercing his flesh. He could feel the frostbite setting in, a dangerous enemy in this frozen landscape. He had lost his mittens during the fall. They were somewhere back there, buried under the snow, and retrieving them was not an option. His hands were now exposed to the brutal cold, and he could already feel the consequences. His hands, already numb, began to lose feeling. Survival instincts kicked in. He knew he had to act quickly to prevent permanent damage. He rubbed his hands together, trying to generate some warmth, but it was a losing battle. He knew he needed shelter and warmth, and fast. The landscape around him was a vast white expanse, offering little in the way of protection. He scanned the horizon, looking for anything that could serve as a temporary refuge. Using his parachute as a makeshift shelter, Leon huddled beneath its flimsy protection. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. The parachute provided a small barrier against the wind, and he hoped it would be enough to keep him alive through the night. The silence of the wilderness was deafening. It was a stark contrast to the chaos of the crash. Now there was only the sound of his own breathing and the occasional rustle of the wind through the trees. The only sounds were the whistling wind and the beating of his own heart. Days turned into nights. Each passing hour felt like an eternity. The isolation was maddening, but he had to stay focused. He had to survive. Hunger gnawed at his stomach. Thirst parched his throat. The human body can only go so long without food and water, and Leon was acutely aware of his dwindling reserves. He had to find a way to sustain himself. Leon rationed the meager emergency supplies he had managed to salvage from the crash. Each item was precious, and he treated them with the utmost care. He knew that every morsel of food and every drop of water could mean the difference between life and death. Each bite, each drop of water was a victory against the relentless grip of the wilderness. He savored them, knowing that they were keeping him alive, but he also knew that they wouldn't last forever. He had to find a way out, a way back to civilization before his supplies ran out completely. As the days turned into a week, despair began to creep in. Leon fought against it. He knew that giving up meant certain death. He clung to the hope of rescue, to the thought of seeing his loved ones again. This hope, however faint, fueled his will to survive. He remembered his Boy Scout training, the basic survival skills he had learned as a child. He used his compass to get his bearings. He followed the course of the frozen Charlie River, hoping it would lead him to civilization. He scavenged for anything that could be of use, tree branches for fire, moss for insulation. Just when his spirits were at their lowest, Leon stumbled upon a sight that gave him renewed hope. There, nestled amongst the trees, stood a small log cabin, seemingly abandoned but still standing against the elements. It was a beacon of hope in a desolate landscape. With renewed energy, Leon pushed open the cabin door. Inside he found more than just shelter. There was food, blankets, even tools and supplies. It was a lifeline. Someone at some point had used this cabin as a hunting lodge. Their forgotten provisions were Leon's salvation. He would survive. Winter tightened its grip on the Alaskan wilderness. Temperatures plummeted, snow fell in heavy blankets, burying the landscape under its icy weight. Leon remained holed up in the cabin, a prisoner of the elements. The days were short, the nights long and filled with the howling of wolves. Food was running low. The supplies, though a blessing, were not endless. Leon knew he had to find a way to supplement his dwindling rations. He ventured out into the biting cold, setting snares for small animals. He learned to identify edible plants, supplementing his meager diet with whatever nature could provide. Section 6. Gifts from the Wild. Survival became a full-time job. Each day was a struggle against the cold, against hunger, against the despair that threatened to engulf him. But Leon persevered. He learned to adapt to his surroundings. He became attuned to the rhythms of the wilderness. He took solace in small victories, a successful hunt, a roaring fire in the cabin's hearth, a clear night sky filled with a million twinkling stars. He was not just surviving, he was learning to live in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Section 7. The long wait. Weeks turned into months. The snow began to melt, giving way to the promise of spring. With it came a renewed sense of hope for Leon. If he could just hold on a little longer, he knew the chances of rescue would increase. He had marked his location on a map he found in the cabin. Surely someone would come looking for him once the weather broke. He kept himself busy, reinforcing the cabin, hunting, fishing, doing everything he could to stay alive and sane. He refused to give up hope. He would not let the wilderness break him. Section 8. Rescue at last. And then, one day, it happened. Leon spotted a plume of smoke rising in the distance. It was a sight he had almost given up hope of ever seeing again. The unmistakable sign of human presence. With his remaining strength, Leon stumbled towards the smoke. He emerged from the tree line to find a group of men working near a mining camp. They were astonished to see him, this gaunt, haggard figure who had emerged from the depths of the wilderness. After 81 long days, Leon Crane's ordeal was finally over. He had survived. Section 9. The Indomitable Spirit. Leon Crane's story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. His journey is not just a tale of survival, but a profound narrative of human endurance, and the will to live against all odds. Stranded in one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth, the Alaskan wilderness, he faced challenges that would break most people. With little more than his wits and the will to live, he overcame incredible odds. He had to rely on his knowledge of survival skills, crafting makeshift shelters and finding food in a barren landscape. He battled not only the elements, which were harsh and unrelenting, but also the psychological toll of isolation and fear. The despair that can cripple the human spirit in the face of such adversity was a constant companion. Yet he found ways to keep his hope alive, often reflecting by the campfire, contemplating his next move. His story is an inspiration, a beacon of light that shows us the power of perseverance. It serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, when all seems lost, the human spirit can endure, overcome, and ultimately triumph. The triumph of the human spirit is not just about physical survival, but also about maintaining hope and finding strength within oneself. Leon Crane's 81 days of survival in the Alaskan wilderness stand as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of human resilience. His journey through the snow-covered terrain, battling exhaustion and the elements, is a powerful reminder of what we are capable of when pushed to our limits. His story is not just about survival, but about the triumph of the human spirit. It is a testament to the power of human resilience, a story that continues to inspire and remind us of the strength we all carry within.